Welcome to the Town of Fishkill, April 19th, 2023 Town Board meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right.
Councilmember Daniele?
Present.
Councilmember Istvan?
Here.
Supervisor Albrecht?
Here.
Councilmember Foreman?
Here.
Councilmember Rye?
Here. Okay, I just want to amend the agenda. One item for special consideration for the nuclear power plant being decommissioned with wastewater. I'll make a motion to get that on the agenda that we're against that. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, my second one is to move item number 7 from consent to regular resolution. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then I want to move the introduction of new employees until right after presentations. Can I have a second to do that?
Second.
Wait, what?
I want to move the introduction of new employees to right after presentations.
Oh, that's fine.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, the first thing up will be a presentation from Glenham Elementary students. Mr. Frost, you can stand up. And the town board is very proud of the Glenham Elementary School right down the road from us, and we've got a proclamation to read recognizing the Glenham Elementary School Student Council. Whereas the Glenham Elementary School serves the Fishkill families in the education of children, and whereas the children at Glenham Elementary School comprise of a student council, whereas the Glenham Elementary School Student Council hosted a food drive and collected toiletries to benefit the Open Arms Christian Ministries Food Pantry in Fishkill, and whereas the students of the Glenham Elementary School Student Council demonstrated generosity and given empathy for those in need, and proved they're active citizens engaged in their community, and whereas the students of Glenham Elementary Student Council deserve praise for their excellent work, whereas all these children are here today are members of the Glenham Elementary Student Council, and whereas the town board desires to recognize these individuals and organizations which go above and beyond to make a difference to our community, now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill does hereby and proclaim in recognition and gratitude of Glenham Elementary, all the members of the student council, our kindness, generosity, and dedication to the community, and further be resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill shall present a copy of this proclamation to all the students at the April 19th meeting of the town board by order of the town board of the town of Fishkill on this 19th day of April 2023. Congratulations, Mr. Frost. I'd like you to come up to the podium, say who you are, and everybody, all the young children that came and did something, just tell them to come up and give us their names.
My name's Michael Faust. I'm just filling in for Miss Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
This is my son, Hudson.
Say hello.
Hi, I'm Hudson Faust.
Bring the thing down.
Microphone. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hudson Faust.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Olivia Ballas.
Hello.
Hi, I'm John McKay.
Hi, John.
Hi, I'm Abel Marin.
Hello.
I'm not a student.
You're not a student?
No.
Are you always learning?
So there are actually 13 students. I just would like to thank Mr. Faust and Mrs. Faust, who's on her way here, for standing in the gap for Miss Monica Taylor, who is the teacher who works with these brilliant students over at Glenham. And so there are a few of their team that's not here yet, and I know that you're going to present them. So if you could just call their names into the record, I would greatly appreciate that, so that they could afford that opportunity. And I just would like to have the members of the, let me think of the name, Open Arms Christian Ministries International Food Pantry Ministry just come forward. You have Brian Lee, you have his wife Yolanda Lee, and you have my husband Bernard Gadsden. So they volunteer. These are the people that allow the food to come from Trader Joe's and ShopRite into the place where we have to actually distribute it. It takes a lot of work, a lot of energy, and a lot of manpower. So we do receive food on a regular basis, and we're grateful for that. However, these students have filled the gap gap that most people don't think about. And so toiletries, toothpaste, shampoo, body wash are things that you really won't normally find at a food pantry. And when my husband picked it up, there were over 4 boxes of these items there for us to distribute to people in Fishkill, Beacon, and the surrounding area. So I just want to give them all a round of applause for their hard work.
Councilman?
As a graduate of Glenham, 1985, alumni, and also the class president of 5th grade.
Oh, my Lord.
Well, listen. We had 28 kids in our class, two 5th grade classes. Thank you for your participation and being one of you at one time. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm going to read the names of all the students that participated and get a proclamation, and we're going to take a picture with all you guys and your parents, okay? All right. So the children that participated in this is Olivia Bellis. Yeah. Madison Clark. Ali Constantino, is that right? Okay. Winter Donaldson. Daphne Garcia. Madeline Smith. John McKay. Abid Matron. Hudson Frost. Matilda Hoffman. Juanita Marquez. Gideon Tenzin. And let me see this one here. Adeline Thies. So what we'll do now is I'll just give you 5 proclamations for the kids, and you can pick out which names go to after we take a picture, because it's quite a bit. I don't know who's ill. So meet me right there. Yes, everything's around this evening. Get all pictures you want. Parents, you make pictures. Everybody that participated, right in front, right in front. This is wonderful. Turn around. You guys look at the stars.
That can be a designated photo taker if you want. Yeah, I can do that. It's going to go on the town Facebook page.
Get a little smile at once.
Absolutely.
Get what? Greg has it.
skeptical myself, to be honest. I see the paperwork on that before we put that in the round.
5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th and 12th, I'm done.
I'm a competitive guy.
Still the same school. Thank you.
Small.
It's funny, I say it like, I'm not but it's funny, it's a person, the president of the class. So it's just
Should have had you slow them back then.
I was at a baseball game at 6:30.
How'd you get these with this? That's always my success. Aw.
I'll do it.
It's always fun. It's always fun.
PlayStation. All right, next presentation will be a presentation from Mental Health America, MH8 of Dutchess County. Sir, there he is. Hello. Good evening.
Do you have another one for them?
Thank you.
If you don't, then I'll share.
I mean, we got extras?
Thanks.
Just one for them. Thank you. This one over here. Thanks.
Right to the podium, make yourself at home.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you can make your presentation right at the podium, guys. Just identify who you are and who you're with.
Good evening. My name is Linwood Burke. I am from MHA, and I am one of the behavioral health specialist supervisors with the ECHO program.
Okay, Echo.
And my name is Lashavius Dicker. I'm also behavioral health specialist with the ECHO program at MHA.
Welcome to Fishkill.
Thank you. So thank you for having us. I'm not sure if anybody up there is aware of MHA or knows about MHA. So we are a non-for-profit organization. We provide case management services, and we cover a vast amount of, we have a vast amount of resources underneath MHA. We have a veterans program, vet-to-vet program. We have housing. We have clinicians. We have a mobile crisis team, adult and children services. Look us up. There's a ton. But today we would just like to come and present our program. It's 3.5, almost 4 years now. We started with the City of Poughkeepsie Police. They came to us and asked if we could join forces, use that term, forces to deal with things that were going on in our communities. Homelessness, addiction, mental health needs, medical needs, housing needs, things of that nature. So we have a great relationship with them and didn't see any problem with getting that going. So I was asked to join. I work inside the City of Poughkeepsie Police. I'm embedded in there. Been there for 3.5 years now. And a year after it started, we we're approached by Beacon.
And I've been down at Beacon Police Department for going on a little more than 2 years. The partnership has been great. I go out on all calls with them, whether it be for a mental health call or could be for accident, and I'm dealing with the situation. The object is to alleviate the repeated calls that the police department is having if someone is emotionally distressed or someone is going through addiction recovery or, any type of addiction that they may have. And so what we do is with the resources that we have at MHA, it's easier to cut through the red tape. We can call them and get them the help and the services that they need right away instead of waiting, because usually at that moment, if someone that's have addiction, if they want to go, you got to get them there now. If you wait a day, you wait an hour, they'll change their mind and they won't go. So we cut through the red tape. We don't have to do that. We have all the services right there under our umbrella. So, and then what we do is we also go follow up. Follow up is a big part of our job, is making that follow up phone call. After every call we go out with the officer, they make sure that the scene is safe for us to go in before we even start. And then, it might not always work the first time.
So what's your typical interaction? So where do you sit waiting for a call? How does that work?
Well, we ride along with the officer.
So when an officer's regular routine, you're with them, with them in the car?
Yep, we're with them in the car, and then if they get a call, we're right there with them. And we go with them on that call. They survey the scene first before, make sure that things are safe for us to go. And then once it is safe, then we go in, and then we talk to the person, to de-escalate the situation, and get them the help and services that they need. Whether it be to the hospital, we help dealing with transport to the hospital, homelessness as far as food pantries, shelter, we help provide all the services. And then also we make follow-up phone calls. So that's a big thing, let them know that we're here and we care and we're trying to help. That goes a long way. A lot of times people don't know the services that's out in the community, and if you give them a follow-up phone call, you're building that rapport. And so that way, next time you have an interaction with them, they kind of know you, remember you, and be like, okay, all right, things will go a lot smoother.
So give me an example of a type of incident that the police officer come back to you and get you out the police car.
Say again? I'm sorry.
You go somewhere, 123 Main Street, officer comes back and asks you for help. What kind of help? Like what type of incident?
Well, it really depends on the situation that we're out. So I'll just give an example. We go out for calls. Just real quick, we also have our own vehicles. So if we're not with the officer at the time, we can just hear the call. We carry radios as well. We'll respond, and we'll meet the officers at the location. But it could be anything from a simple accident to somebody that's in a full mental health crisis. A person that has threatened suicide, made statements. We go out there, we'll speak with the individual, try to assess the situation. A lot of times what we try to do is we try to speak with the individual to get them to agree, let's go, at least speak to someone, get checked out, and then we can take steps from there. If it's one of those situations where the person is not, maybe they're so far gone that they just are not hearing us and don't want to help, but we're at the point where they obviously need the help, then that's when the officers come in. We have the ability to contact people for pickup orders, and then get them into wherever they need to go to get help, which is usually Mid-Hudson Regional, and then from Mid-Hudson Regional, we try to connect them to other resources to help them along the way.
And how long have you been doing this?
I've doing with the ECHO program?
This program, how long has it been going on?
The ECHO program is about 3.5, 4 years now.
And how was it formed?
How was it formed? City of Poughkeepsie came to us and said they would like
Came to who?
Came to MHA.
Okay.
They
called you guys.
Yes, we have a great relationship with them. They reached out to us, said they would like to implement a mental health worker in the station with them to help, like Mr. Dicker here said, alleviate a lot of the calls that were coming in. The officers were going out for their regular calls, the regular things they do, but then they were also dealing with a lot of these mental health calls, a lot of homelessness, drug and alcohol, things like that. So having us in the station, we can take those calls.
So how many are you to do something like this? If you're doing Poughkeepsie and Beacon, what else can, it's just you two guys?
Right now it's just two, when we have a new member, but right now, I'm in the city of Poughkeepsie, LaShavis is in the city of Beacon. We've been in contact with you guys and the town, and also we have Hyde Park, and we also have the town of Poughkeepsie that's also shown some interest. Dutchess Sheriff shown some interest, so this is something that's expanding. I think it's a great thing. I would hope you guys would think the same, but the officers that we work with and we deal with seem to be very happy that they have this resource right on their hip.
Yeah, that would be a question for me, is if three of you guys work in 3 municipalities, how do you have time to dedicate to Fishkill if we decided to move on that?
To join?
Well, it's...
You have to hire another person.
We do the interviewing, we do the hiring. It's a process, obviously.
Are the police chiefs in the other municipalities involved in the interviewing process?
They're not involved in the interviewing process, but we keep them up to speed on who we're interviewing and how it's going.
Is there any background checks on the people hired?
Yes, there's background checks with us, background checks with the station they're going to.
Okay.
Yes, that's very important to us. Look, this is a program that doesn't work with just us, just the ECHO. It has to be the ECHO program along with whatever police station we're in. We work as a team. We never go out, there's times that we're responding to things alone, but that's when we know it's a safe environment, it's a follow-up, it's things of that nature. If it's something that comes back, because obviously we check before we go out on the calls coming in, if it's something that's, there's a jacket on them where there's violence and there's severe mental illness and things of that nature, then obviously we go with officers because things need to be safe. We wear vests, we carry a radio, and we're with officers.
So just hypothetically, City of Poughkeepsie, what is the percentage of calls that you needed that you actually get to?
Right there in front of you, I think we've given you...
I don't see it, I'm asking.
What's the percentage of calls that I respond to?
Yeah.
On a daily basis, there's, I don't know, 50%, 50%. It depends on the day. And we respond to not just mental health calls, though. We do DV calls, trauma calls, homelessness. We respond to the schools, drug and alcohol.
All right.
And that's you two
Yes, he's in.
doing all that work.
That's a lot of work.
Yes.
Well, he's in the city of Poughkeepsie, I'm in the city of Beacon. And so-
But Poughkeepsie needs
5 of those guys.
Yes. So,
I don't mean to disrespect.
no, it's not disrespectful because we do it. I'm there. So you're not disrespecting. I know, I see it. We're working on that. Some of these things are obviously, there's contracts and there's budgets and there's things like that. So that's part of it.
How can you, it's a hard thing to quantify, but how do you know you're making an impact?
Well, I'll be...
Actually, the numbers kind of show, if you're, over the course of the first year we started, you got a lot of call volume, and then showing the numbers starts to decline because you're not getting them repeated phone calls. The people that you do deal with...
So, go in front of the mic.
Yes.
People on TV can't hear you.
The people that you do deal with, you're getting them into service, into treatment. So therefore, you're not getting them repeated phone calls again. So you see a decline in the call volume.
And like LaShavis was saying earlier, the follow-up, that's one of the biggest parts. When we see people, we don't just say, hey, I can get you A, B, C, and then that's it, and I never speak to you again.
Right.
I get you A, B, C, and then I'm reaching out to A, B, and C to say, hey, I have this gentleman, I have this woman, this child, whatever. This is what I need, this is what I'm looking for. We never give out any resources, any information without us knowing that this is a working number, that these people can actually assist this individual in some way. And then we follow up to make sure that they're linked to mental wellness doctors or primary care doctors. They're getting their medication, they're getting to their appointments. Also in Poughkeepsie, the Mental Health America office is there, but we also have the mobile crisis, and they're 24/7.
Right.
So I know there's a question about how busy the city is and just one person, but we work as a team.
And they have that 24/7 walk-in clinic also in Poughkeepsie?
The stabilization center?
Yes.
Yes, we have the stabilization center also that we use.
Yeah.
Is it a lot? Yes. I think we can all agree that's everywhere though. And unfortunately, there's some areas a little more than others.
Thank you both for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Do you know who funds Mental Health America of Dutchess County? Is it county or is it the state?
Well, it's not-for-profit, but I think the county is the ones that,
Give some money.
right.
There's some funding coming from the county, but also, you know, we do a lot of raising money. We get donations, and also we have the case management program, and they do a lot of billing for Medicaid billing as well as all the other.
You have a board of directors and
Yes,
stuff like
yes,
that, right?
we do.
Okay.
Yep.
Gentlemen,
If you guys are able to, you can, we have a Facebook, we have a website, everything. I recommend, please look it up, and we
Yeah.
look, we'd like to be able to assist and help,
Yeah.
like, wherever we can.
gentlemen, I like the program. It's very nice. Good business model, very professional. When I saw you in the hallway, you guys are very pleasant and nice. Didn't even know who I was. But thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I think, as a business approach, I would approach the county and maybe offer your service as a county as a whole to the whole Dutchess County, and maybe you can broaden all the towns.
That, and so MHA covers Dutchess County, and
Yes.
we're trying to connect with the sheriffs as well, and
Sure.
we've been approached, the program, to be honest, the program started growing pretty rapidly. We had different organizations, different police stations reaching out to us, police stations out of the county. We had Oswego reach out to us. We're kind of moving, and we just want to be able to fill where we can, but anyone that's interested, we're always happy to speak about it. We're always happy to try to make it happen, so.
Yes.
We also been invited to speak at the National New York State Mayor's Conference up in Lake George last summer. We was invited to do that, and we have met with the Sheriff's Department last year, and hopefully we're in the process of getting 3 or 4 people, we would like to say, by the end of the year, working in the Sheriff's Department as well.
Have you met our chief?
Excuse me? No, we have not met.
He's sitting right back there.
Yes, sir.
Chief Dworkin.
Chief Dworkin.
Be interesting to see if there's any connectivity we can have, but
Good evening.
good evening. Have you?
What can I do for you?
No. Asking if they met you, nothing. Have you known about this program at all, or?
I do know a little bit about it. I have spoken with Chief Sands Frost, who runs the city of Beacon PD. He's very happy with the services, knows Linwood very well. The officers like him. They like working with him. They have a good coordinated effort. I haven't heard anything but good things about the services they provide.
Well, this is an awkward question, putting you on the spot, but I mean, would there be a need for us to sort of, work and see if there's a opportunity to engage or with this organization, or what kind of need do you feel? Because I know there's a lot of demands on the police force, and there's a lot of things going on in the town people aren't aware of, but what do you see as far as this kind of service?
We handle it's increased dramatically over the course of the last 3 years, but we handle about 1 mental health call for service a week. So is there a need? Certainly. Is it going to continue to grow? I believe it will. These guys provide an excellent service. I guess my concern would be this. If the taxpayers are already paying the county for mental health crisis, are we going to pay? Is the town interested in bringing on the ECHO program?
No.
And if so,
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me is, gentlemen, we'd help support you approaching the county and offering your services. I think that'll be a great business approach.
Without a doubt.
there is definitely a need for mental health services in Southern Dutchess. Absolutely. And I think the fact that crisis is established up in the city of Poughkeepsie makes it very difficult for them to respond to the Southern Dutchess area in a timely fashion, and we've experienced that. So we certainly know that there's a need here. To me, it's a matter of who's going to pay for it.
Sure.
Is it going to be the subsidized by the county through county taxpayer funds, or is it going to be paid for through Fishkill taxpayer funds?
Yeah.
And if it's Fishkill taxpayer funds, are they paying twice for the same service? So although I think these guys do a great job, and I think they would be a real benefit having them down here, I think the county should I think it should come from the county.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Okay. We like what you do. High praise from the chief, so that's good news. All right, gentlemen, we appreciate it. We'll get back to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful passion for this.
I want to see
you.
what we can do with the county with this. All right? Yeah. Thank you. All right, next up, I have to adopt the agenda as amended. I'll present that as a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up is the public hearing. We're going to reopen the public hearing for the comprehensive plan update. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Ms. Alkelson.
Good evening. My name is Liz Axelson. I'm an AICP certified planner from CPL, and I've had the great honor to work with originally 25-member and now 19-member comprehensive plan update committee. Very dedicated group of people that have probably been to close to 20 meetings of the committee, and that also includes town board meetings. They have been working on the comprehensive plan update since September 2021. Very dedicated group, lots of great ideas, very engaged, like to jump in and discuss issues. So we've been through a considerable process of preparing the comprehensive plan update. I want to just let the public know there are lots of things on the town of Fishkill website, and you can find that. You just go to the opening page of the town of Fishkill website, and right there it says comprehensive plan update page, and you click on that and just click on some of the documents that are in there, and it'll give you a broad brush overview of what we've been doing. And if you scroll down, you'll see, I think it's called resources, Greg?
It is.
So scroll down to resources, and you will see the previous most current draft of the comprehensive plan update. So you can see what the committee's thoughts are at this time. Anyway, so this is a hearing, so I'm going to try to keep it short. The town board has also initiated and is nearly completed the New York State Environmental Quality Review process. Initially, they determined themselves to be the lead agency in the environmental review process, and then we've prepared a number of documents, including a draft generic environmental impact statement. And the board also has begun to look at a final generic environmental impact statement, which responds to the public's comments in the environmental review process. And possibly they will consider concluding the secret review tonight. I don't want to get into a whole lot more detail, and I think if the public goes online and takes a look at those documents, they'll see some of the key priorities of the board having to do with making things more connected in town, including sidewalks and pedestrian and bike safety, a rail trail. Also looking at how can we have more, how can we accommodate compact development in a town that is substantially developed, and what should we focus on, and lots of other great things like preserving historic and environmental features. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody from the public like to make any comments? All right, so Liz, we had one question about a sewer issue. Can we follow up with that?
Mike.
With Mike?
Well, we asked Michael Tremper to come here.
He's here.
He's here.
And we've written a section on it in the comprehensive plan update. And we did have some questions that I emailed to Mr. Tremper.
Okay.
So that the committee can be informed. So.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hello, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
One of the questions that Liz had forwarded me was developers building sewer plants. Is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? You know, I'm obviously hired to take care of the facilities you have in place,
but I will share with you that over, I've been in business a long time, 50 years now. A lot of my business has been created because developers build sewer plants. They end up, after their developments are completed, the sewer plants end up kind of in na-na land, and then the towns end up taking them over, and they're not always in the best condition. Right here in our own little town, the Rombout sewer plant, when the town of Fishkill took that over, was in a state of disrepair. And the residents of the district who bought the homes paid for that sewer plant to be built at one time, and then the town took it over and basically had to demolish the sewer plant and build a brand new one. So I know there's, with the absence of legal protections and everything, it's always seems to be, and that's just not one example. Dutchess Park sewer plant was built by a developer, and that's now no longer in existence. Green Hills of Glenham had a sewer plant that's no longer here. Fishkill Glen had a sewer plant that's no longer here. So you have to be very careful when you build sewer plants, and my comment on the town is, you have a sewer plant down by the river that has capacity. You have a contract with Beacon that has capacity. I'm not an expert on the development of the town by no stretch, but there's not a lot of properties that, without some imagination, you can't get, those two areas can't get sewer lines out to meet.
So, Louise, let's address your concerns.
Well, I think the committee was addressing the questions that I had, so I'm not sure. Liz, is there a reworded version of the two questions? So I think the first one was at 1F, where it said there may be a vacant site or site available for redevelopment that would accommodate a wastewater treatment system. So that was the big red flag for me, saying actually building one. But I think they've worked very hard to reword it, so I just wanted to know if you could read that to Mike to get his thoughts on that.
Mike. Also, you're quick, buddy.
There's a copy of the section we just...
So which...
So, mind if I just...
No, go
Stay
please.
here, don't go anywhere. We need you. So, there was a section in the plan that was necessarily saying, hey, we need to assess what we have. I know that we don't have a complete mapping of all the sewer districts. And so one of the goals above this page is to do an assessment and make a map and clearly show the extent of all the districts, have the tax parcels in there, and try to show, if possible, any transmission lines or facilities within each of those districts. So that's one thing. And then I'm going to just kind of read this. The town should also explore possible connections with the existing sewer wastewater systems within or adjacent to the town of Fishkill's municipal boundaries. Reevaluation of existing connections should also be explored. The following are examples of areas of possible connections or consideration of existing connections that should be examined. And so we list in here Village of Fishkill wastewater treatment facility, the closest town of East Fishkill sewer district, City of Beacon, the New York State Matawan property has a private treatment facility, and the Tri-Municipal Sewer Commission, which includes town of Poughkeepsie, et cetera. And, the other thing is to take a close look at the town's own plant and see if there's the possibility of reuse or enhancements to the facilities that are here. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
My only comment is, and I don't know, I thought all the sewage from Matawan and the other Fishkill, the other prison went to the city of Beacon, but that may not be true. So I thought all of those, Matawan and the other state prison were connected to the city of Beacon, but I don't know. This might be right.
I mean, and I think that's probably, I don't know either, you know more than I do.
I haven't been to Mattawan.
Okay, well, it wasn't implying anything.
Right, but no, I think Mattawan, both prisons went to the city of Beacon.
Right, right.
Louise?
There was another section, I think, that said the town should fund, design, and build a new transmission facility. Was that reworded as well?
That was deleted.
Deleted completely, okay.
That was a concerning thing, because it should.
Yes, that was very concerning. Is there anything in there for safeguards to protect the town from the shoddy work that we've seen in the past, that we have to make up for 20 years later? That's not done, so I don't know if this is the right place for it or not, but to make sure it's done properly. But
We put performance bonds.
That's legislating.
Yeah, I think
Can't legislate for that.
that's going to end up being code.
Okay.
This particular section does talk about, it kind of refocuses a lot of the former text on having a closer look at the town's, I'm going to just read part of it again. Reuse, enhancements, or connections to existing sewer, wastewater treatment systems, and/or water supply systems are options that may be beneficial to the town that would make it possible to meet the smart growth principles outlined in this document. Reuse, enhancements of, or connections to existing sewer/wastewater treatment systems and/or water supply systems may be considered if it can be demonstrated that sufficient capacity exists in those systems, and such measures would be advantageous to the advancement of the town's goals, which include mixed land use, compact building design, a range of housing opportunities and choices, walkable neighborhoods, and protection of the environmental resources such as aquifers, among others. And then there's another paragraph, and I just want to put a footnote in, 2 footnotes. One, there's some language in here that was substantially constructed by Anne Lagoy and Jonathan Cantor. They really put their heads together, listened to what the committee had to say. So I can't take any credit for these 2 paragraphs, because they really, feet on the ground, put these 2 chunks together.
Good.
And the committee is looking at this now as a revised draft. And I hope to get enough feedback from the committee so that on Monday I can send out the revised draft, and the town board can start to look at the changes, the recent changes, and also a clean version of it.
do you mind sending that to Mike when you get it? Because I just want,
Yes.
that was my thing.
Absolutely.
I want to hear, yeah.
You did
Yeah, I
send-
did.
You sent
No,
this
but-
today,
Yeah,
Or
good,
the other
good,
day,
yeah.
I think it was changed a couple of times since,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
that's going to happen
final,
toward the
final.
end, of a comprehensive plan update, because when it's getting closer, some of those comments will come in at the end. That's pretty common. And the idea is to get it all put together so that people have enough time to
So
look.
we've changed the fact that it won't be like a vacant site that we don't know where it is.
No.
Or there's a house next to it, that's all.
All that language about a
reworded.
vacant site is
Okay.
taken out.
Sounds good.
Work
So-
with what we've got, see what we've got.
Right.
See what we can work with, what can be done with that. But I guess the key here also, and I think Mr. Fred Cantor has reiterated this too, is to try to be as specific as possible in a plan that's to be adopted by the town board, so that if and when there's any need to pursue any kind of funding sources, that you have this as a source of adopted policy of the town. So we need to make it right. And so as soon as I get it to the town board, I look forward to hearing your comments too.
You good with it, Louise? Louise, you happy?
Yeah, well, once Mike gives us the stamp of approval, I'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any-
I'll take a look at it.
Thanks.
Anybody else from the public wish to comment? All right, make a motion to continue it to the next meeting, or close it, what do you want me to
I don't
do?
see any reason not to close it. Why would you?
Yeah, I thought we were going to close it, and also I wondered if the town board, I think there are CPU committee members here that might make a few remarks.
Absolutely.
And I just had one more question that was not water-related. I think there was a suggestion by somebody to put the phrase, "if it's in the best interest of the town," at the end of the sentences where you described each, I think, possible site that was going to be developed. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Tremper.
There was a list of 20-something different sites in the town that...
20?
Something that suggested, there could be a possible amendment somewhere, but only if it was in the best interest of the town. Does that sound familiar to either of you two?
Is this related to water and sewer?
No, that's why I said it's not water and sewer related. But if we were going to close the... Are you talking about the large parcels? Yeah, yes.
You want to...
Come up to the mic.
It's not water related, but if we were closing the hearing, I just wanted to hear that.
Hi, John Cantor. I'm on the CPU committee. I'm not sure exactly what your question is, but the large parcel analysis had a lot of information about, I think there were actually like 27 some odd parcels, 25 acres or larger in the town. And some of them had some suggestions for the town board to look at, possibilities. Some had to do with the new conservation zone that we're proposing. Others had to do with, current zoning and taking a look to see if the town board has any thoughts on the currency of the zoning and whether any, changes might be warranted in the future. But we were very careful not to come up with any specific rezoning suggestions other really than the conservation zone, which I think is a slightly different kind of a thing. So I think in all of them it's assumed, and I'm not sure what, whether there was specific wording put in there, and we'll have to look at that in the text revisions that we came up with, but obviously any changes in zoning or the way that parcels are categorized would obviously have to be in the best interest of the town in order to accomplish them. That's up to the town board, and that's the way it always has worked and always will work.
Well, we hope so. That depends on who's sitting on this board. That was my point. I just wanted to make sure that it was something that would benefit the town, so I didn't know if there was a sentence that was going to be added to that or not. But if not, I thought it was part of the conversation that Liz had in one of those back and forths.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically about that. Do you?
Stay here.
Please.
Don't go away. So the comprehensive plan update acknowledges a few key themes. This town is substantially developed, like many places in the Hudson Valley. So what many municipalities are seeing, that whatever land is left tends to have constraints, because all the best, flattest, rolling, most, I shouldn't say all, most of the land that is easier to develop, has better soils, fewer rocks, less wetland, et cetera, has mostly been developed. And so some of the remaining parcels have constraints, and that obviously implies, higher cost development. So maybe those are not coming to you as soon, but now you are starting to see some applications, I believe, before the planning board with land that has constraints. So that's acknowledged in here. And part of the acknowledgement of that, and again, I'm going to attribute this to Jonathan Cantor, because this issue came up early, and Jonathan took a look. We had a map, and I was trying to look at multifamily and other sort of mixed-use or higher density zoning districts to see, what's left to develop? And of course, what I found is all of these, for the most part, except for one skinny little multifamily parcel, has been developed. So Jonathan took a look at some of the bigger parcels that could potentially come before the town for one thing or another, rezoning or just plain development. And he took a look at those. And some of them are kind of large open space parcels, very steep, for example. And so maybe they could be zoned to more of a conservation district. So the point of that section is to say, at a future point, the zoning should be examined, but the plan itself does not make any recommendations to do any amendment to any code chapter.
Absolutely.
It's mainly to look at that.
That's what I was trying to clarify. I appreciate that.
And I can take a look back through the language and just make sure that that's clear.
Okay.
But there is there is a column in a land use summary table for those larger parcels that makes a suggestion. Maybe we could just take a look at how that's worded. So.
And I'll just reiterate briefly what Liz already mentioned about the sewer and water section that we have substantially revised the wording on. And we had a pretty good and long discussion at the Comprehensive Plan Committee meeting about a week ago. Yeah, it was a week ago today. And Ann LaGoy and I, through email communications, really put our heads together and came up with the revised wording that you'll see very soon. And we think it, helps to clarify that there's nothing in that wording that will jeopardize the town's position into the future. And in fact, it really clarifies a lot about the current sewer and water situations in the town. And I think the new recommendation, which is to do an assessment of the current districts and to map them very clearly and to describe exactly where they are, will be would be a good benefit into the future, which isn't really a resource that's readily available to the public right now. So with that, I'll turn it back over.
Okay. Steve, did you have to read a letter or anything like that mentioned? A letter? Were you going to read a letter into the record or something like that?
No, not on this. I think they summarized it pretty well. You have a comprehensive plan update, which deals with municipality that's largely built out. So you don't have in your comprehensive plan update a provision that says re-examine the zoning and look into rezoning this or changing that. A lot of municipalities, when they adopt their comp plan update, the first thing they do is they say, all right, we need to reevaluate our zoning, and there's going to be a raft of zoning changes that are going to come as a result. That's not going to be the case here.
Yeah,
the comprehensive plan update lists a number of programs, a number of policies and ideas that you should pursue to make things better in terms of what you have, but it doesn't incorporate zoning changes. So it's a good plan, it's a helpful plan, but it's not a radical plan. It's not something you're going to see a lot of changes from. So I mean, this is great that we're going through this. The secret review, you can, just as I told Liz it would be, she was nervous, but you had like 2 comments on your DEIS. I mean, your FEIS addresses them, says, look, there's no problems here. Your finding statement goes through everything in the comp plan and says there's not going to be any adverse environmental impacts. So, I mean, look, I've been over this and I don't want to take up too much time on it, but what happens is the comp plan committee turns the comp plan draft over to this board. It then becomes your document. That's what you hold your public hearing on now. But it isn't quite done. You can see that there are spots and it says insert photo here and the like. So they're working on those finishing touches, but they don't get incorporated until their proposed changes come to this board. You review them and approve, which I expect you'll do, the changes that they're saying. So you're going to get another resolution at the end of this, not only adopting the comp plan, but adopting it with those changes. That's pretty much where we are. It's very straightforward. We're going to close, I expect, close the public hearing tonight. Later on, you're going to adopt the FEIS. You're going to adopt the finding statement. We'll wait for those changes to come in. You review the changes. I'll give you a memo on the comp plan update. And then if you can agree on what the changes are, you'll adopt a resolution accepting the comp plan, and you'll be all set. You can move forward on that. But you're not going to be moving forward with zoning changes. I'm telling you right now, there's just no
zoning changes.
I want to make sure we're not. That was good.
I want the board to keep the power of zoning. Ms. Axelson.
Amen to that.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
So there are
Gallagher.
no zoning changes in this document at all?
No.
Supervisor.
No,
Yes, ma'am.
and so I've been communicating with the committee, and I've sent them a revised draft for the committee to look at, and what I've asked them to do is to try to provide comments by, I think I said Monday. Okay, thank you. Midday, something like that. I'm putting myself out of work here. So, Monday, midday, and my goal is to be able to turn that back around and hopefully have something to the town board by Tuesday evening. That's my goal, because I believe the committee probably doesn't want to have another meeting, I think.
I thought we were done the last one.
See?
I thought we were done the last.
You got your answer.
What he said.
Okay.
So that's the goal, and I believe the town board's deadline would be ordinarily 3 p.m. Wednesday, the 26th. So I'm going to try to get it to you all Tuesday. And that's the goal, so that hopefully maybe when May 3rd rolls around,
get it done.
That's
We need
just a
week
possibility.
before, because we have a week before deadline, so if we're going to put it on the agenda, we're going to need it a week before May 5th.
You just said
Right.
Tuesday.
You may
Yep.
need to wait till the second meeting in May. Don't take too much on yourself if you...
Oh, I can do it.
All right.
You can do it, May, what is it, May 3rd?
Yeah, so I would get it to you by no later than the 26th.
Perfect.
At 3, but I'm hoping for Tuesday.
So you said you had a couple of the committee members wanted to say something? Would you like to hear them? It's a good plan. It's good. Listen, you guys did a great job.
It's so good, you didn't wear shorts tonight.
Yes. There you go, Kenya.
So I'm Kenya Gads, and I'm also a member of the committee. So I just wanted to thank Mike from Camo, who I think is the god of the water. There were a lot of concerns that water, sewer, we had a lot of concerns, and we shifted those back. I apologize, I wasn't paying attention, so I don't know if my 3 questions actually were asked. Were they asked, my 3 questions? Okay, good. Right. So I don't want to stir the pot. I am the pot stirrer. But there were some concerns that I had because I didn't really understand all of it. And I know that Mike knows our water and sewer. I learned a lot when I was on the town board. And so I just wanted to ask some questions that were going to him so that although we've done our best to do our due diligence to make sure that we covered every base, I think by asking these questions, it would allow Mike to kind of support me in making sure that I've done everything that I could do to protect the town in my role here. So my first question was, should we allow projects to install their own wastewater systems with or without an agreement that they will ensure they maintain it? My second was have you walked within the last year any projects, any new tentative projects that will require wastewater systems? I had heard that there were some and they would have to have their own wastewater, so I just want to know if that's factual or fake. And the last one is, are you aware of any parts of our town that adding a wastewater would cause a negative impact on the current residents in the area? So those are my 3 questions. If they were already answered, I apologize, but I just want to be sure I covered myself.
Good, thank you for the nice words. So the first question that Kenya asked, we talked about in building.
Mike, come up to the mic. Mike.
Up to the mic. Okay. Roger. We talked about the first question. Have you walked within the last year any new tentative projects that will require wastewater systems? The only items that I've looked at, and I'm not on the planning board, they would not have their own wastewater treatment plants, but they would be connected to town systems already in place, which is a good thing. Are there any parts of the town that are adding wastewater that would cause a negative impact on the current residents in that area? I don't know of any, okay? Whatever I've seen where they connect to our systems that are already in place, that's a good thing. So I don't know of any for question 3, okay? So, did I answer them okay? Okay, good. Thank you again.
Outstanding.
Thank you. Come again.
Anybody else want to speak before I close the public hearing? All right. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is new hires. Chief, you got a new employee?
Good evening. I'd like to present a candidate for appointment to one of our vacant police officer positions, Richard DeSico.
All right.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. Who are you and why you want to work in Fishkill?
If you don't
You got it.
Yeah, sorry.
My name is Rich DeSico. I started out a little bit to tell about myself, 31 years working for the sheriff, Bush Anderson. So you guys must know him because his motto is definitely seem to adhere to the chief and to the town board. I have the ability to work with the village now, 3 years under Chief Schofield, phenomenal boss. I have the opportunity to come work for Chief Dworkin. I adhere to his mission statement and the board's. I'd like to serve the community and give back to the community residents some fairness and equitable in these days, which is sometime lacking. So with your blessing and the chief's privilege, I would like you to appoint me to this position.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Any questions?
No, good.
Welcome to Fishkill.
I thought you were an attorney sitting out there.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure, thank you. Mr. Khan, that's you? You're here for a zoning position? I am. So let's say hello to everybody in the town of Fishkill. Let us know. We know who you are, but let everybody else know.
Hi, folks. My name is Awais Khan, a.k.a. Johnny. I've been a lifelong resident of Fishkill for about 40 years. I have had several entities in the past, restaurants, pizzerias, currently dog grooming business, and a real estate company in the village. I've sat on the Business Association with Mayor Martin, was the events planner coordinator there, and I am now on the Village Beautification Committee with Mayor Martin just to improve our local community. Let's see, the reason why I want to be on this committee is like I said, been a lifelong resident. I really care to see what happens with our growth, smart growth and calculated growth, and sustainability, more so affecting our current residents and forthcoming residents and business owners. So I feel with my experience and knowledge that I've gained over the years, I would be a good advocate for this committee.
Advocate protecting the citizens of Fishkill.
Absolutely, most important.
I have one question.
Yeah.
How are you? Nice to see you again, John.
Likewise.
On the second page that you filled out, there was one question that asked about town government experience, and the last line you said, I also am on a political party here in Fishkill. I was just wondering why you added that, as we are apolitical on our boards.
It just asked if I was on a specific board or, on a specific committee, so I just figured being on a party was to be announced.
Okay, so we're just apolitical, FYI.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I wasn't aware of that, sorry.
Excellent. Any other questions?
Yeah, Johnny, as you and I talked, I know we went to school together since what, maybe middle school?
Yeah.
Maybe elementary? I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Did you vote for him for president in the 5th grade?
I was fortunate. I went to a private school, okay?
That's right, St. John's, 8th grade, yes. I remember you came to 8th grade.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned to you, as being a liaison to the zoning board, I mentioned to you important things that are important. And the most important thing I told you is education.
Right.
Educate yourself on what the ZBA is all about.
Absolutely.
Take your mandatory educational courses, or you will no longer be on the board, which is very important that you do that and educate yourself. We're here to follow the town law, and you have certain requirements to fulfill, and I expect you to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel, following the governing laws of your municipality and specific to the zoning laws of Fishkill, town codes specifically, is most important, not to oversee anything, make sure everything falls within the guidelines. As far as education, I do a lot of education, owning a real estate company, just to further my self-knowledge and education, which I can bring those attributes forward.
Good?
Good.
Good?
I've gotten to know you recently, and I think your heart's in the right place, so I think I'm glad you volunteered for this position.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the consideration.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ms. LaVoy.
We got the peanut gallery behind me. Ann LaVoy, I am a business owner. I run a not-for-profit here in Fishkill, based in Fishkill. I am, I think, closing up the CPU. Being on that committee, we're kind of finalizing that document. I've learned an awful lot on that, and as that is winding down, I am interested in continuing serving the community. You know, as Carmine was just talking about doing education and training, that is one of my questions. I'm assuming that there is training available to members of this board. I think that it was a really wonderful learning experience being part of the comprehensive plan update. I think it really gave me a very good idea on what is concerning the town, people who live in the town, things that people really want to see more of, things that people want to see less of. But I am very interested in applying what I've learned with the comprehensive plan to the zoning board.
Outstanding.
And as I called you, and I called Johnny, and I told you guys the same, my opinion, which is very important, educate yourself.
Yeah.
Understand what your role is as being on the ZBA. Ask questions. That's why we have our town attorney, our ZBA attorney. And it's very important that you take any educational courses you can. You'll become very versed in the ZBA. Just my firm belief is when I went through basic training in the Army, it was the best and worst experience of my life. But I'm glad I did it because it taught me a lot. And going through the classes will also teach you a lot. And just uphold the law. That's what we're here for. My opinions on certain things might differ than what I really want to do, but I took an oath to withhold the law, and that's why I'm here.
Well, we have a responsibility to follow what is in the code, what is in the law. And I take my responsibility very seriously, so.
I believe, is it the zoning board chair that then passes along the training opportunities to them?
Yes, Debbie will pass it to the ZBA chair, and the ZBA chair will pass it. Or I think Debbie might even email everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we're all about the training, every department in the town of Fishkill. Becky can testify to that. Send everybody to training. So thank you very much, Ann. We appreciate having you on board.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is privilege of the floor for general town items. Anybody want to speak about anything in the town of Fishkill?
Whoa.
Who is this?
All right.
I just want to remind the board, this Saturday,
what time do you want us there?
We want you there at 8 o'clock.
We're there.
We want you to be dressed warmly, and something that can come off if you need to. All right? The parade will start approximately at 8:30. The police have been notified. The fire department's been notified. We have a lot of T-ballers, almost 100. All right? Somewhere, they keep on coming, and they keep on coming in.
214.
Well, how many?
214.
Not T-ballers.
Oh, altogether.
No, just T-ballers.
Okay.
All right? We're going to have march off once we get to the Shepherd Park. We'll have our opening ceremony like always, and we plan on announcing each of you, and you too, Madam Clerk.
Just remember, there's
you have any questions?
There's a new sign on the entrance that we dedicated to Private Charles Hunt.
Okay.
So I'll be making a couple of remarks about him.
And I'm just still looking for the dog signs.
The what?
The what?
The signs for no dogs on the field.
Okay.
Curbing your dog.
Curbing your dogs, yep.
Don't bring your dogs.
Okay.
The young man after you.
By the way, my name is Fred Cantor.
We don't recognize you.
And the event we're talking about is the Little League kickoff.
Thank you.
No, you didn't.
I think you all knew. Fred, how long have you been doing this now? 1972. 1972? Now, you've been doing a fantastic job.
For the record, I was born that year.
Oh, my God.
Wow. And then he became president of 5th grade.
Good evening, board. I'm bringing to your attention here, and I've had this discussion with a couple of people on the board prior to James Walker. I live in the historical district of Glenham, for those people that don't know. There is a new bridge that's being erected, and they are coming along quite well. I have the privilege of having a, full view of it, if you will. There's a couple things I wanted to address, if I may. I had a conversation about putting some sort of a crosswalk before the bridge, after the bridge, because there is going to be walking along on the east and west side of this new bridge. Of course, we have the Jean Van Pelt Park there, and it'll help and allow people to go, of course, enjoy the park and the view and walking up the bridge. Some of the things that we had discussed in the CPU, the comprehensive plan update, was to put sidewalks in. I think we discussed Glenham, but not specific areas of Glenham, but that bridge would be obviously a great place to have this crosswalk because, of course, the design was for having walking paths on both sides. That's one. Two is to have some sort of a speed limit on Maple Street that abuts, or actually goes right into the bridge itself. There is presently no speed limit on Maple Street at all.
A sign.
No sign. Oh, no, there's speed limits for people that desire to drive at whatever speed they feel they want to. So if we could put something of, I don't know, 5 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, something that is relatively safe.
Mr. Galba, can you explain that?
The state prescribes the minimum speed limit for all town streets. I believe there's legislation that allows you to reduce it to 25, but I think that's as far as the town can go. Can't make it.
Can we negotiate that?
No.
Can we pay them off?
Well, let me say this. There is a provision where you can petition the DOT to agree to a lower speed limit. It rarely works. You'd need something like a school crosswalk or, I mean something really unusual there. Now the town could look into speed humps, and it is a town road, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, traffic calming devices, you can put up those radar signs, there's a number of things you can do.
Sure.
But in terms of the speed limit itself, you're pretty much stuck with 25 at the lowest.
Yeah, the problem where he lives, it comes down, you come off of the main road, and that road is short until you hit the bridge. So a car going there at 20, 25 looks like it's doing 50.
Yeah, I know.
So the perspective is,
Yeah.
I know exactly what he's talking about.
You could petition the DOT, see if you could do something there, but
We probably won't put something like that after the bridge is built, because we're going to get a bigger...
Obviously, no,
what's going to happen is we're going to get a bigger piece of that park, and we'll know how it's going to be set up, and then maybe we can say we need to get that lowered because there's a park there.
So, to add to that, we are, of course, in the CPU plan, the update for the comprehensive plan is rail trail, right? Is that part of that? If you read through it properly, it's in there. So that abuts the park and also abuts, ready?
So you got
the school. Just saying.
Okay.
So, and I'm okay with afterwards, that's fine. Listen, there's been no sign there all along anyways for, since it's been a historical district even prior to, but nonetheless, the crosswalk would definitely be helpful if we can.
I can see that.
That's it. Thank you.
On both sides.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your work on the
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Outstanding work. All right, that's it for the... I'm sorry, Mr. Davis.
James, were they shooting a film down there at the bridge?
I'd just like to...
Yes, and then there was a fire right afterwards. I don't know, I'm just saying.
Okay.
There was.
My suggestion with that Maple Street, that hill, that's going to be
Hey, Ron, the mic.
that's going to be a tighter turn. And I brought this up when they presented the plan. And my suggestion would be, put a stop sign on Maple Street.
Where on Maple? Right before the
Bottom of
bridge?
hill.
Before the bridge?
Yeah.
Stop sign?
That's just a suggestion,
Before the
Because
bridge.
I believe that some of the bigger vehicles will be tracking into the other lane,
And we could do that without a public hearing now, right?
You can. You wouldn't want to erect a traffic device like a stop sign without checking with your engineers as to whether it's safe.
Yeah, you probably want to do some survey or
But
something
assuming
like
that
that.
there's no issue, sure, you can absolutely do that.
Okay.
It's all
Yeah,
council.
that's just my,
Can we wait till the bridge is built and then get the engineer to go down there?
oh,
so we can
yeah,
look at it,
absolutely.
And then we'll do
I
that?
think that would be a good, plausible.
I think the highway super should have input on this, because once that bridge is erected, look at what should be done as a crosswalk, stop sign, because he has to maintain that road, and he's a safety coordinator of the roads of the town. So I think it should be built, and we'll look at it at that point.
Excellent. Thanks, Ron.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. All right. Okay, next up, we're going to have a public, I'm sorry, what is up next? The executive session? Oh, no, I apologize here. Agenda items.
Supervisor comments.
I have no comments. Liaison member reports. Louise, you can go first.
I just want to start off by thanking Councilmember Rye for reading my rec center announcements while I was away.
I tried.
I know, thank you. On April 11th, County Legislator Yvette Valdez-Smith and I enjoyed serving the seniors again at the Spring Fling Luncheon. We served pizzas that were actually made right outside the back door by Pizza Joe on the go, and hero sandwiches. I have to say I'm not a big dancer, but Lorraine was out there making everyone join her to do the YMCA, and we had a lot of fun. This Friday, we have Fairground Marketplace coming back to the rec center. It's a community organization that provides vegetables, fruits, pantry supplies, and much more. Our seniors will shop at 12:30 p.m., and then it's open to the community who has signed up. You have to have already signed up for it, and bring your own bags. On May 4th, they'll be having a Cinco de Mayo party. On May 10th, the seniors are going on a casino trip to Wind Creek, and there's also 3 seats left. The cost is $30, and you get $30 back in slot play. The after-school program for the rec center is full for the rest of the year, thanks in part to the stabilization and workforce grants that Lauren was able to secure for everyone. Families were able to receive a reduced rate for after-school care all year long. Unfortunately, the grant expires next year, so we'll have to go back to our original tuition, but if anybody out there knows of any grants being offered for daycare or other recreation programs, please contact Jay or Lauren at the rec center. They have an adventure camp that they're in the process of developing for 7th to 9th graders, which is similar to the discontinued one they had a number of years back. Every day is a new adventure. They take them to places like Splashdown, lake compounds, urban air, and other exciting places. The Fishkill Fun Camp is open to sign up for. That's kindergarten through 6th grade. You can sign up on the fishkillrecreation.com. And also the summer hoops registration is all open, and you can sign up at the same place. For the water liaison report, last week I was able to attend a Zoom training session with Census and Mary from our water department, and Sharon and Rick from finance. They're also with the water department. We are almost ready to enact our water portal, where residents can create their own accounts and monitor their usage and set up alerts while they are away, and a few other very helpful tools. I just want to thank the supervisor for allowing me to follow through with this. The water meter project was the reason I got into politics, and the prior supervisor failed to follow up with this specific portal, so I'm proud to be able to announce soon that it will be available for the public. I also want to thank Carmine, who's assisted me since we've been on the board together with resident water issues, and making sure that we can take care of whatever we can. And I'll keep you posted on the release date. For the planning board, I attended the last meeting. They had a full board there, including our 2 new reappointed alternates, VJ and Kevin. Welcome to them. Welcome back. It's nice to see citizens participating in our boards and helping make good decisions for our town. I listened to the end of the meeting and spoke with our chairperson regarding some of their concerns, which will be discussed in more detail on the agenda as discussion number 2. For ambulance issues, Olympia used to forward me the monthly report, but she now sends it to the entire board, which is appreciated. I just wanted to remind the public that if you have a specific ambulance issue regarding timeliness or a bill you received and you're in the roundabout district, please contact myself, the supervisor, any one of the board members, so that Olympia can look into it and document any issues that they have as they occur. And lastly, I just wanted to thank for HR liaison. Thank Suzanne, who has implemented a monthly birthday email and small gathering in a lunch area for employees each month. I think it's very nice that she's remembering our employees' special days, and it's appreciated.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Carl.
Just Mr. Cantor didn't say what his little talk was about Little League, but Little League opening day is 8 a.m. lineup, 8:30 parade. This is this Saturday. So we'll see you there. At Brinker, yeah, you're messing me up. Shepherd's Memorial Park.
We'll have to meet at Brinker Hall.
Oh, you want to meet at Brinker Hall?
That's where they meet to do the parade.
Okay,
And
well,
they line up.
that's where you're meeting. I'm meeting right there.
All right, so if anybody's watching, they meet at Brinker Hall School. Otherwise, you can be Carmen and I at the field.
So there's a couple of updates. As you'll see, if you do come to any of the baseball game to check out the fields, we updated and upgraded some of the fields. New fences went in, new drainage. Pretty exciting. Our Century Park, is going to be going in soon. Scheduled defenses are in for our pickleball courts and for our Century Park. We're working on installing the playground system and the blacktop very soon, hopefully in the next 60 days. It should be complete. Moving forward, Councilwoman Daniele and I, and hopefully I can mention this, is we went out and marked every pole. No? No?
Yeah, we just looked.
We looked at each pole around town where we're going to put the Hometown Hero banners out. So we identified about 100 and something poles, and beginning of May, we're going to start hanging up the Hometown Hero banners. We have a vendor with a bucket that's going to go around, escorted by our police, and Councilwoman Daniele is going to be taking a van.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be hanging up all the Hometown Hero banners. So
Yeah.
please drive carefully if you see us around town, and I think I'm good.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, very good.
On Friday, April the 7th, the supervisor and Councilman Rye and I attended the opening night of the Renegades at the new Heritage Financial Park. A week ago tonight, we had one of our last, we hope, CPU update meetings right here in Town Hall. It was done. April 13th, attended the Planning Board meeting. The April 14th, I stopped by Assemblyman Beefan's office in Hopewell Junction. He had representatives from Central Hudson in his district office, probably about 6 of them. And he had constituents who had appointments to meet with these representatives for about a 3-hour span. So it was pretty impressive, big turnout. And Saturday the 15th, attended the Roundabout Fire District fundraiser through Doo-Wop Night. That's all.
Brian?
Well, you just mentioned almost all of mine.
Anyway, I'll get you first next time.
I'll go before you, though. I know. So yeah, the Renegades was always a special event. There's no doubt about that, and I am proud to have connected the town of Fishkill with the Renegades, and we're going to be looking forward to having meetings coming up with Fishkill Serves, which of course is an initiative to help the food bank in the village. Let's see, there was a recent vets meeting that I did attend, only to unlock the door and then lock it afterwards because you helped in that effort because people were running late. But I'm just pleased to just see that the meetings are really getting some really, really good participation. And I'm also pleased to announce, and I know this is going to be going out in the eGov, but we're very fortunate to have Virgil Capillari as the chairman of our Fishkill committee. He just was, has been installed as the new chair of the Dutchess County Veterans Affairs Committee. So his participation around the county with East Fishkill, Fishkill at the Dutchess County level, and with our Assemblymember Beepan is quite extensive. His knowledge of all issues, veterans, are fantastic, and he is a great resource to have here in the town, and we're very proud of him with this new position that he will be controlling. And he's going to be bringing a lot, and this is what I like about what he's going to do. He will be bringing more emphasis down to the southern part of the county, which with county government, we know with a lot of things, they stick on the north part of it, and there's got to be more emphasis down here in the south. And so I'm very pleased with Virgil's attitude in that regard. Yes, I went to the A.J. Beepan offices and for the Central Hudson Bill Consternation event, and they had one here tonight at the rec center, and I popped over there. It's very, very well attended, and we should be doing another one of those events with AJ, inviting Central Hudson here to help more of our citizens meet with them strictly on their bills. So that's not over with. Stay tuned. There'll be more. And speaking with the northern part of the county, I met with the county exec, Bill O'Neill, today, had an extensive conversation. People may have heard about the Youth Opportunity Center, the U, that the county has committed $20+ million to build. It's the old YMCA in Poughkeepsie that the county bought for $10, I think, and it's a whole thing where they want to consolidate youth services once again in the northern part. Okay, I get the location in the building, but my thing is we have to make sure that we are participating on what programs are going to be in there, and we are making sure that we are going to have some adequate transportation for kids who need to participate in that. So stay tuned on that. It's very early stages, and I'm very proud of that connection right there. Yes, we're going to the Little League opener, and that's what it's all about, being in this position, and I love it. Last but not least, we're going to the Rombout annual dinner this Friday.
Friday.
Right. That's all I got.
Okay. Seen a lot of increase in community pride in this community in the last 4 years. This comprehensive plan is going to be completed soon. I look forward to addressing the citizens of Fishkill in my state of the town. I think you're going to be very impressed with all the progress to benefit the residents of Fishkill in the last 4 years. With that, we're going to go into, I move that the board go into an executive session to discuss matters which will imperil the public safety if disclosed. 2, discuss matters which may disclose the identity of an officer, discuss information related to a current or future investigation, discuss proposed pending or current litigation, discuss current negotiations and preparation, grading of administration exams, and discuss buying property. So I'll make a motion to go to executive session. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So we'll be back shortly, guys. All right? Thank you. Yes, hon. Discussions, the unsafe property on 52 and 82. That was in the planning board meeting at the last meeting. It looks like it's going to be moving forward, so I'd like to just close that one out.
What do you
We're
need,
good?
a motion? Yes.
There's no motion, just close it out. Okay, next up is discussion of resolution authorizing town attorney to appeal the building department decision to the zoning board of appeals. The issue means Healy Brothers built a wall across Town Hall that was supposed to be 10 feet, it's 15 feet. The building inspector determined that it was okay. I'd like to appeal that to the zoning board of appeals for a different opinion. So I was wondering what you guys' thoughts are about that.
I think it needs some clarification.
Okay. Clarify.
So Healy Brothers obtained site plan approval for construction of their automobile sales facility, and a number of improvements were proposed, a building and, among other things, a large retaining wall. The approved site plan required a retaining wall, mini retaining wall, to be no more than 10 feet in height. It was built over a 60-foot span to 15 feet in height. I'm advised that when they finish paving, the grade to the top of the wall will be 14.8 feet in height. The discrepancy was brought to the attention of the building inspector. The building inspector determined that it is what is called a field change. Field changes are generally a minor or routine deviation from approved plans, which has no significant impact on the proposed construction. So there's some question as to whether or not this is a minor and routine deviation, since it's 4.8 feet higher over a 60 feet span than what's approved. Now, the building inspector could take the broad view and say, you got to view it in context, it's a big development, 60 feet long, 4 feet high, I don't see it as that big a deal. But to put it mildly, reasonable minds could differ. So the code provides that any board which wishes to challenge a determination of the building inspector has the right to appeal to the zoning board of appeals. So if this board feels that it's not a field change, or at least if you'd like a ruling on whether it is or not, you can apply to your zoning board of appeals, and they'll review the file. They'll make a determination as to whether the building inspector acted within his discretion or judgment in determining that this was a field change, or if it is not a field change, and they're required to go back to the planning board and get either amended approval or at least a determination that it doesn't require the plans to be revised. And that's where you're at.
That's just a bit. Any other questions?
No questions. I just think it's just a statement that that one of the first operations or first construction of the site was that wall. It's high profile. Maybe Joel's within his discretion, maybe he's not. But I think it might be a good educational tool for the town to learn on the process. And this is one of the functions of the zoning board, to actually look at a potential appeal. That's one of the functions, if you look at the definition. And I think we would maybe learn a little bit more about this, and I think we should see what the outcome would be.
Thank you. Louise?
I just have something written out I just would like to read. So in my opinion, if a 50% increase in the height of a wall that was approved to only be 10 feet in the site plan, and changes in the slopes of parking areas, and changes in drainage flow paths from the site plan approved from the planning board does not need to be referred back to the planning board, then why do we have a planning board?
Correct.
If we had an engineer do a site inspection at this site and was never advised after to come back because changes needed to be made, then why do we bother doing site inspections? There needs to be better coordination to work together with our engineer and planning board when changes occur to site plans that were approved. Otherwise, why have a town code? The one we have now reads, revisions of such plans shall be subject to the same approval process, which would be, in this case, the planning board. We should follow our code. It's disconcerting to me to see the notice of violation that was issued on February 7th, and the notes say, quote, during the process of the building of the wall, it became apparent that to decrease the slope behind the wall, they could raise the height of the wall. It went on and on. Yet the code section that was quoted on the violation states at the bottom, the permit holder shall immediately notify the building inspector of any changes occurring during the course of the work, not after. And will those changes be on the final site plan? The letter from the developer's engineer is dated February 2nd. It explained why the wall was raised, why the drainage flow is different, why the slope of the parking area is different. This is not an example of, quote, immediately notifying and working together with our building inspector, engineer, and planning board to make sure that changes are being done in a transparent manner. Everyone works so hard on creating these site plans. This sadly shows us that once again in our town, you can ask for forgiveness instead of permission. So I'd like to know what other changes are expected at this site moving forward. And if there are any, should they immediately be told, they should immediately be told to the building inspector. And in the spirit of better communication and transparency, I would hope that our engineer and planning board would be involved in whatever they may be. If this doesn't happen, I will request in the future that our board amend our code to create a better process of communication, which will help better define how our town allows development site plan changes to be made. The interpretation of field changes, when they may actually be more like material changes, should be decided in conjunction with our town engineer and not just the developer's engineer, as well as input from the planning board. These are just my concerns relative to the process, and I also had a chance to speak to our planning board chair, who has similar concerns that I have.
Mr. Chairman, would you like to say anything?
Sure, if you would allow me to.
Yep.
Well, thank you for taking this discussion up and possible action. I think it would be a very good idea to send this to the Zoning Board of Appeals for their interpretation of whether this was a well thought out determination by the building department. We've talked to the planning board about this as well at our last meeting, and the question came up, well, how substantial a change from the approved site plan was this? And yeah, it's a 50% increase over what was approved by the planning board. There have to be thresholds, I suppose, to determine whether it's a minor field adjustment or not, and maybe that's something that the code could address in the future. But right now we have the situation where it's become evident that there are issues out there on the site that were not built according to the site plan, and I think that is a function that the Zoning Board of Appeals could be asked about, and I'd be very interested to hear what they would say about it. So I'm definitely in support of the town board sending it over to the Zoning Board and asking for their opinion on it. I think there have been other things that have come up in these types of projects, and I won't get into that in too much detail, but there are other issues about as Louise mentioned, coordination between the building department and the planning board engineer is really important, and I don't think that's been happening as well as it should have been in recent years. There have been other projects where in the past changes in the site plan have resulted in referrals back to the planning board for modified or amended site plans, and that's the way the process is supposed to work, and that's how it has worked in the past. I don't know why it didn't happen this time, and I'm very concerned about it, and so is the planning board. So anything you can do to help resolve that situation would be appreciated.
We'll be voting on it tonight. I thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with what Carmine said. The whole thing is a learning process. We don't have that base of knowledge as other people in this industry would, and so there's some questions I have along the educational process. I'm glad I asked for this documentation so we could all review it. But I'm just wondering, because in that was the wording, once something comes out of planning, it never goes back to planning. And I guess, I don't know where, should something go back to planning, if there's such a monumental change. I'm just kind of curious about that point.
I support this because, as Louise said in the documentation, if they make a mistake and go overboard, they should notify us. That didn't happen. So I support this 100%. Any other questions? Move this to consent? Becky? Okay. I'm pretty sure it is.
It's in consent.
Yeah, it's on consent already. Next up is establishment of village sewer rates effective July 1st, 2023. So this development stuff, the tentacles are all over the town of Fishkill. So we have a small development in Fishkill that goes through the village, back through us to the city of Beacon, and we have to go through this for the rates. Any questions?
Can you just, it's a certain area, right?
I'm pretty sure.
It's awful. It's
Yeah,
awful.
it's the way
The village people get...
And what happens is, we talk a lot about development, this comprehensive plan. So you have areas of town where you can't put high-density housing unless you have water and sewer. So then you can figure out a way to get to it, and there could be 4 or 5 steps, and this is one of those instances, examples that happens. Village, town, city of Beacon, and 10, 15 years later, a new board has to vote on doing these type of things. That hasn't happened in the last 4 years, and it's not going to happen for the next 4. So everybody good with this for consent?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. A resignation to accept the resignation of a police assistant. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Consent. We saw the fine officer retire from the sheriff's department. We okay with him? Consent. Okay. Next up, I had a citizen come in last week. I talked to him maybe last year about putting a POW MIA chair in the town hall, and we spoke for about a half hour, and we put this together last week. It's a couple $100. We'll buy a chair. We're going to put it out by the court's office, and a couple of American flag and a POW flag, and hopefully we can have it ready for Memorial Day. You guys okay with that?
Well, yeah, can I just make a point here?
Yeah.
You and I mean, obviously this is a good idea, but we kind of discussed before that, there's a Veterans Committee, and when things like this come up that are for veterans and it's not brought into the committee for them to give a comment on it, and it's bypassed, they kind of wonder, like, well, why do we exist? This, while we should vote on this, obviously, I just am going to request that when we come up with ideas that affect the veterans, that we ask them, and even in this, once we vote on it, I'd like to just get their input on it. Yeah. We need to get it over to Virgil, have him disseminate it, and come back in case there's just any comments. If anything, maybe there's just nothing and they're just happy for it. But I would just like to keep that in top of mind as a protocol, and respect thing, really, for the committee, that we go and present to the committee first before we bring it to the board. Does that sound reasonable?
No, I totally agree. He came in the day we were publishing the agenda. We really didn't have anything set for Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for the committee to have an idea for Memorial Day.
Yeah.
We haven't heard anything yet, and
Well,
I moved on it quick, and when I opened up the building to let the veterans in, I mentioned it to you to disseminate it to them at that time.
Yeah, it's true. You absolutely did, and you caught me by surprise. And you're waiting for them to come up with something for Memorial Day. They have other things on the agenda. I guess maybe we should have really formally asked them to develop something for Memorial Day. So that's another note for the future.
And hopefully, we can celebrate the chair.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So let's vote on this, but I'm just trying to make sure that we keep them more central and really involved. That's
Sometimes when there's something hot, I just move on it. I apologize. There's nothing.
Gotcha. No, I understand. I understand. I appreciate that.
Yes, Louise.
I think I have a different understanding of what the Veteran Committee was actually supposed to be. I think it's more of people getting to know each other in the town and facilitating where they can go for help and having community outreach, but I don't think that we have to run everything we do by them about veterans, because we're a board who can make decisions about veterans. We have since we've been on the board, and we do other things, so I don't really see what the protocol is that we'd have to get their permission to do something.
I didn't say permission, I said input.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Consent. Number 7, Brian Brought wanted me to bring this back up. Discussion of property tax exemption for volunteer first responders. Mr. Gabbard, can you get the ball rolling on that?
Yeah, I can ready to go for the next meeting.
Let's do it. Next up is discussion of a tree ordinance. I believe everybody in the town is upset at all the tree work across all parts of town because of the Indian at bat. They got to knock the trees down, or else they can't do it later. Town of Wappingers has a tree ordinance. Is it good?
Look, there are, everybody calls them tree ordinances. They really aren't tree ordinances. You either have a clearing and grading provision in your code, which deals with removal of trees from private property. We can have a tree preservation local law, which can really be quite extensive. You need to literally, you can require like a tree for tree replacement if people take things down. You have to decide what it is you want, and what I found other municipalities do, and I don't know how you feel about committees, but if you put together a committee, you have a conservation committee?
No.
No? All right. Some municipalities do, but if you find people who are interested in this type of thing, if you have arborists or someone like that who can help you out, they can come up with some ideas to present to the board, and you can decide how far you want to go with this thing. I would not borrow wholesale somebody else's tree preservation law or clearing and grading provision. It might not be right for you. If you want to take it as a starting point, we could take it as a starting point and go over it. You can decide if you want to make changes to it. But these things come in all flavors.
Since the Comprehensive Plan Committee is ending, we can ask them if they'd like to.
No.
No,
Mr.
people on
Gabbard,
that
bring
board.
some examples to us, and we vote on it. I'm going to keep this simple. I don't want to get too far into this.
Sure. I can give you some more complicated ones, some more simple ones.
More
You can
simple.
I can give you all simple ones, and you can decide which way you want to go with it, sure.
Yeah, I think the concern, the planning board, I watched them last meeting, there was a discussion of the trees being cut down and possibly nothing being done for a year. You know what I mean?
They fell them, and then they leave them.
They leave them, so maybe they should
we
clean
can
them
have
up.
them clean it up if they're going to fell
That
them.
should be part of the approval for felling
Yeah.
the trees. I mean,
I don't know.
But they're felling trees before they have proper approval complete for their project. I think that was one of the issues with the
Yeah,
citizens as well.
so when you drive through there, you see the trees cut down,
Well, that
they're laying there for the
shouldn't be
next
the
6
case.
months. That's our concern.
That should not be the case. They should not have approval to cut down those trees before they have their land use approval. And if they do get it before they do, there should be conditions attached that they have to
Let's
either
do
by
that.
rule
Let's
and
focus on
process.
that. That's our big
All right,
focus.
give me a little time on that to put together some
Next week?
examples. For the week after, perhaps. And I'll send you some by email, and then the board can give me an idea. We can discuss what you want.
Mr. Gabbard, you could probably look at, there's a certain amount of trees that are allowed to be cut per year per property owner, so maybe you look into that too, that we have. It's quite a bit.
Yeah, we've had
I'll
complaints
look at
from
what you have
citizens, too.
in addition to providing, I'll give you a little summary of what's in the code now, and
Yeah.
I'll say, here are some other municipalities that have provisions that you look them over and we can discuss it.
Sounds good.
Greg, put that on the Gabbard list.
Yeah.
Next up is discussion of filming in town. So we had a,
Wait,
next month. He needs at least two meetings.
We can report back for the second meeting, and then we can talk about what they want drafted. Not the first meeting in May, that's just too soon.
He was joking.
Yeah. All right. Discussion of filming in the town. Last Thursday, we had an event in Beacon Hills. It was handled, but people complained about access to traffic, noise. I spoke to the building inspector. He really says there's no real ordinance. Are you guys okay with us creating an ordinance to regulate that they have to come in and get a permit to do filming on the streets?
Well, I would think that would be an important thing to do.
You guys okay with it?
I thought we already had one. Yeah, I think they absolutely should. We give food truck permits.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure you guys are okay with doing that.
Absolutely.
Is an ordinance, is the building inspector's rules or regulations fine, or do we need a town board resolution?
Well, you're going to need a town board resolution to require the permit to begin with. You could, if you wanted to, say pursuant to regulations promulgated by, and then, it would be the clerk or highway superintendent or whoever it is he thinks appropriate, but I'm really leery about that kind of thing. You'd
Like
want to
what?
adopt them on your own as to what's required.
A resolution?
Like
A resolution?
No, you're going to need a local law.
A local law. Can you write one up?
Yeah, sure. What do you want in the local law?
They gotta come and get a permit. If it's after 10 o'clock, they're gonna get a noise permit from the town board, separate resolution to do that.
All right, could you send me an email?
Greg, remember what we talked about today, what I told that lady? We sent that email to that lady on
Yes.
Brookside?
I can
Let's forward that, summarize that to him.
New York State Film Commission's probably got some samples that they could send to take
Yeah.
a look at, because they're, and even the Hudson Valley Film Commission probably has some information. I could reach out to them.
Yeah, and the other thing, a lot of people were upset that we didn't know, a lot of people are upset that we found out about it and we didn't notify you. If I sent out an email blast at that period, you probably have about 500 kids over there and make it worse. So I apologize for that. I think it was a good idea. Yeah. Okay.
From who? Oh.
From anybody. But that's going to be another portion that we properly notice people that live in that area. And the problem with Beacon Hills is only one way in, one way out. So when they're blocked off for a half hour, you can
Well,
see how
that's
they get
it.
upset.
I mean, who knew they were shooting and doing this stuff? This is the,
It happens.
I love the idea that they're shooting here.
And notification of the highway super and the police chief to make sure we can get this done.
If you'd be good enough to put it in the
Greg,
email, it would just
get
make
that
it
down
easier
there.
for me.
All right, guys.
I'll reach out
These
tomorrow,
permits are all
Steve,
over
we
the
can
place.
coordinate on that.
Thank you.
Can we put a special clause in there that they need to audition me for a speaking role?
You would make the show.
Can we do that? Guess not.
All right, next up, discussion to appoint Johnny and Ann. Everybody okay with that?
Yes. What?
Yeah, close the discussion, and we'll just come up with a law and we'll publish it. All right, next up is discussion of resolution to appoint Johnny and Ann to zoning board members. That's going to go to discussion. I'm sorry, to resolution. Next up is discussion of resolution to authorize reimbursement for motorists for property damage. One of our plows hit a vehicle. The deductible was $900. I'd like to reimburse that lady. It was not her fault.
Was it a deductible or not?
Deductible or?
Her deductible. She paid the bill. It's in there.
So-
She paid it. It was whatever the amount was, and her deductible was $900.
How much was?
The deductible was $900.
I thought our insurance didn't cover because it was his fault, and then we're reimbursing her for the damage. That's
It's
what I was...
$900. The bill was more than that. It's in the agenda packet.
There's nothing really much in there. There's only like a thing that shows how much it was. So wait,
So did they show that we were guilty of it, or?
Who showed we were guilty of it?
The insurance company.
No.
We're just paying.
The insurance company doesn't cover anything, like your mailboxes and stuff like that. They just don't cover it.
I think you're saying it wrong. I think we're
Yeah, that's the
self-insured, and that if it's our fault, they're not going to cover it. That's what I was told, and that
Okay,
this
then
was his
think about
fault,
that.
and that we're paying
But
for
her
the
insurance
damage.
company paid for the damage.
Paid for everything except $900. I want to pay it for that.
So
It
you're
was not her
asking
fault.
$900?
Yes.
I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
There was damage to the vehicle. The repair to the vehicle cost substantially more, I don't know quite how much, but more than $900. She has $900 on the deductible on her insurance. She wants the town to pay her for that, which if you want to settle the claim out for $900, that's fine. You're going to want to get a general release, though, because
Yeah.
otherwise the
Okay.
insurance company can turn
General release
around and
claim.
say, you admitted liability, now you got to pay us, and you're going to wind up footing the whole bill.
Can you give me a general?
Yeah, it's a form. No
Because
problem.
what I'm saying is the insurance company,
Information on us.
and John, you're the professional in insurance here, is that the insurance company might hit us for the whole bill then if we say.
Not if they have
That's
a
why I
general
said that.
release, they can't.
Well,
The release.
yeah. That's why I didn't want to say yes.
Do we have to amend the resolution to do that?
Yeah, conditioned upon a receipt of a general release from the client. Just add those words.
All right.
So we're reimbursing her for her deductible?
That's it.
Okay, so
Was
it's
it
really
accurate?
$1,000.
No, because they already, deductible's 1,000, but for some reason it came to 900. They worked something out.
Oh, my God.
All right.
Is there an accident report on that?
Yes. Discussion resolution.
Is this coming out of the highway fund?
Yes. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put that in consent. We already moved all right, so we're on to privilege of the floor for agenda items. Anybody want to speak? Last shot. Ms. Booker?
Hello, Jody Lynn Burka, 120 Old Glenham Road. Let me tell you how frustrated I am tonight, because yet again, there's a problem. I'm not quite sure with this appeal to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Why don't we just make it 2 jobs? Why don't, instead of one person having both titles, why don't we separate them? Because clearly the person who is running the town, honestly, is the building administrator, building inspector, zoning administrator. That's who's dictating to all of us, to you, to us, to the comprehensive plan committee, anybody who wants to do anything, he can overwrite it by signing his name. And everyone stands around and can't figure out what to do. If we make 2 different jobs, maybe one person can check up on the other person. Transparency is great if the person is going to be transparent. When I was informed that I knew there was a problem, and there's more than one problem on that site. You all should know that. When I came forward and started saying people have to start looking at this, no one was really listening. And I was told that through the grapevine that there was a violation issued. And I foiled it, and I looked at it, and I knew immediately that something funny had happened, because the violation is dated the same day as a letter that came out, and the letter starts, "As per your request," and then it goes on to explain why the wall is big. That's laughable. It's not an insignificant change. That's a major change. And I ask every one of you, and I ask every one of you out in the community, if your boss came to you and said, "We're going to make an insignificant change in your pay, you're going to lose 50%. Is that insignificant? Probably not. And that is not that's a significant change. And I wonder what else is going on out there that has been not brought to light. And not only that, there are major projects in our community. A lot are before the planning board, a lot are in the planning phases, and a lot of them should be very concerning to all of us. And sitting and coming to these meetings, and I implore everybody in the community, start coming to these meetings. You'll hear a lot. There's stuff that happens every week, and stuff that I didn't even know about tonight, which now tomorrow I have to go check up on. We need to make really serious changes, and it's more than changing it in a code that can be overwritten by somebody making a determination that may or may not be in good faith, may or may not be ethical. I don't know. What I do know is it's not right. And that job should be separated into 2 jobs. Clearly, the town has funds. We're doing other things. Maybe we should take some funds and make a new position to kind of help alleviate the stress that's happening in the community. And although these are great changes, I don't know that they're really going to be effective. This particular problem that I'm talking about has been going on for 2 years. And every other month, it's a new problem that, oh my God, we didn't even know about that. Wow, look at that. It's right across the street. So, hopefully you guys can make the changes, but I'm telling you, make 2 different jobs, do something that can start to trim the wings. One person should not be able to have control over what happens in our communities. They just shouldn't. Thank you.
Well said. Anybody else? John? Well said.
Thank you.
Hi again. This is back to the discussion of tree ordinance. So I thought you might be talking about this kind of thing, and I happened to make copies of this one-page Town of Wappinger tree felling exception law that's in their code. It's under their zoning code, under site development plans. So if it's okay if I approach the bench, so to speak.
The board, not the bench, the board.
And basically, it's a very simple one-page law that kind of clarifies how to approach a situation where an applicant is before the planning board without full approvals yet. Although our planning board attorney has explained to us very clearly that under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, an applicant should not be disturbing or altering a site until after a seeker determination has been made, and that's pretty clear in seeker, in the regulations. And that's kind of the situation that happens often before the planning board. Right now, the planning board doesn't have anything to rely on in the code, the town code, to really figure out how to approach some of these applications for tree clearing before final approvals are given, and that's basically what happened with the site on Route 9. But what this law would do is basically to come up with a process and some guidelines for how tree clearing could be requested by an applicant that's before the board, and it would have to have things like a detailed plan on what areas are going to be cleared and how it's going to be done. Actually, erosion control measures would have to be implemented, performance guarantee or a bond to make sure that it was done properly, and if it wasn't, there would be some recourse that the town might have. So things like that, proper inspection fees and escrow, in addition to whatever might have been required for the project itself, because tree clearing does require some inspection, and I'm actually hoping that that did happen by the building department, because the building department actually does issue a permit of some sort for tree clearing. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's basically a tree clearing permit. Timber harvesting. Thank you. And that's basically what's in our current code, is a timber harvesting provision of the code. But that deals with kind of other bigger removals of trees that get beyond what you would normally see on just a project site for clearing. So, and then one additional thing, the comprehensive plan update actually does have a suggestion for the town board to look into a tree preservation ordinance. So it's timely. But I think looking at something like the town of Wappinger has, which is this one-page law, which could be immediately, pretty quickly adopted without a whole lot of research. If the Indian Abet situation is one thing that you want to implement and address quickly, this would be a good way to do it. And then maybe we could work together on some kind of a bigger tree preservation ordinance at some point in the future. So anyway, that's it for...
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Cantor.
Just one question real quick. Isn't the Indiana bat tree cutting period already in effect? Can't they not go?
The restrictions, the seasonal restriction is in effect now. So the tree cutting is allowed between, I think it's October 1st and March 31st.
Right, but from now until November, they're going to cut the trees anyway.
It's restricted, yeah, by DEC.
Right, well, in the areas where the bats might be migrating.
Right.
But in other areas, you'd want something like this in place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Thank you, Mr. Cantor.
This is all the board wants, or at least this is what you want as a starting point,
Let's
We can
do it.
turn that around for the next meeting, no problem.
Okay, let's do that.
I can't read it.
I would like to, I know a couple people on the planning board and also in Fishkill, in Wappingers.
Okay.
I want to see how they
Yeah.
work
Okay.
this.
So work in communication with Mr. Gaba. All right.
All right, I'll talk with Carmine.
Anybody else? All right. With the consent agenda, I need to make one amendment for the reimbursement of the motorist. What was the word, Mr. Gaba? What would you say, what was the form for the motorist?
Subject to provision of a general release.
A general release.
That at the end of the, we're gonna,
So I make a motion to amend the resolution of consent number 8 to add general release,
general release.
and you can get that to us?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And what was
That was it.
something removed? Did somebody else?
I moved number 7.
And so that is in the
We'll get-
resolutions?
We'll get to that.
I'm just asking.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so I'll present the consent agenda as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Louise, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up, the blasting permit, we're going to table that, right?
Yes, please.
So when?
Well, I got to talk with Joel, second meeting in May.
Second meeting in May. Okay. That's not happening, okay. Next up is a resolution accepting the fine. This is a good one here, guys. We're getting closer to this comprehensive plan getting done. This is the second part to this. Resolution accepting final generic environmental impact statement and secret review of the town comprehensive plan. Update.
Did you do number 1?
I tabled it.
Oh,
It's not ready yet. It's not ready yet.
I missed
Don't
it.
vote on the consent of agenda, though, yet,
Okay.
right?
All right.
We already voted on the consent agenda.
Oh, I missed it, all right, sorry.
24.
5-0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now therefore be resolved that the town, as lead agency in a secret review, hereby accepts the FGEIS, and that a copy of the FGEIS is in an electronic format shall be sent to the Department of Environmental Conservation, Division of Environmental Permits, 625 Broadway, Albany, New York. 3, that the FGEIS shall be posted on the town's website, and copies of the same shall be mailed to circulated as required by law, and to all interested parties, and that the final statement of the CPU shall be prepared. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. All right, this one's very similar. The resolution accepting the finance statements of secret review of the town CPU. Now therefore be resolved as follows, that the town board as lead agency in secret review hereby accepts the secret findings on the CPU, and that a copy of the filing statements be sent to the DEC. Number 3, that the finding statement shall be posted on town's website and mailed and circulated as required by law to all interested parties. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so this one we have to, this is what we want to do to split?
Who wants to split?
Yeah, this is
The resolution of the,
number 7, the resolution.
okay, so I got you. All
Why
right, so
is it
the-
being split to the
it
resident?
was requested to be split by the
whom?
board.
By whom?
Me.
I'm asking questions, so that's an answer.
Okay. Whereas Mr. Khan desired to be appointed by the zoning board appeals member in the town of Fishkill, and whereas the town board desires to appoint Mr. Khan to the current unfinished term, which will be alternate members, now therefore be resolved that the town board, all whereas paragraphs are incorporated wherein are referenced to set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby appoints Mr. Khan as zoning board of appeals member, ultimate member to the current term, expiring December 31st, 2023. 3, the town clerk shall notify Mr. Khan of such appointment and direct that he take the oath of office within 30 days of this resolution. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next one is from Ms. LaGoy. Whereas Ms. Ann LaGoy desires to be appointed zoning board of appeals alternate members in the town of Fishkill, and whereas the board desires to appoint Ms. LaGoy to the current unfinished term to which they will be alternate members, now therefore be resolved the town board as follows. All whereas paragraphs of corporate hearing as referenced to as set forth in full. Section 2, the town board appoints Ms. Ann LaGoy as zoning board appeals member, alternate member to the current term expiring December 31st, 2023. Number 3, the town clerk shall notify Ms. LaGoy of the appointment and direct that she take the oath of office within 30 days of this resolution. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
You want a roll call vote?
Sure.
Roll call vote?
Councilmember Daniele?
Aye.
Councilmember Istvan?
Yes.
Councilmember Foreman?
No.
Councilmember Rye?
Yes.
Supervisor Albrecht?
Yes. Thank you. This is the item for special consideration up next about, I thank Mr. Gabbard for bringing this to our attention. The Indian Point wants to discharge some nuclear wastewater. I don't think anybody's for that, so we're going to pass this resolution. A resolution of opposing discharge of contaminated water from Indian Point into the Hudson River. Now therefore be resolved that the town of Fishkill strongly opposes the discharge of contaminated water from the Indian Point nuclear power plant into the Hudson River. Number 2, the town of Fishkill requests that the New York State Legislature enact the legislation proposed by Senator Pete Hartman and Assemblymember Dana Levenberg to ban the release of radioactive waste into the Hudson River. Number 3, the town of Fishkill urges the Holtec International Board of Directors to abandon the plan to release contaminated water into the Hudson River. And 4, that a certified copy of this resolution be sent to the New York State Senate Majority Leader, the New York State Assembly Speaker, the Board of Directors of Holtec International, and the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. John. Okay.
You know, what kills me is you go fishing in the river and you get this chart on how many fish you can eat because of pollutants in there, you know. So now they're going to make them all glow in the dark and you can't eat them all. So it's just ridiculous. I just find this absolutely absurd.
All right, we'll start with you, or new and old business.
I am good for today.
John?
I'm good at the moment.
Under new and old business, would you guys like to discuss separating those duties between building and administrative?
What was that?
Would you like to consider discussion item to discuss separating the building inspector and the...
Mr. Goblin, can that be done by law?
Well, yeah, you can create 2 separate positions, but the issue here, as I understand it, is that there's a perception that perhaps some of the determinations made by the building inspector are, less than what other people would, some people disagree with them. And even if you split the positions, the building inspector is going to retain his discretion to make those same determinations. You cannot take them away from him. Building inspector duties are pretty much prescribed by state law. So you'd have 2 people who could interpret the code. One would be involved with code enforcement if there's violations, and the other would be the building inspector who'd be involved with issuing permits. So you don't really address the issue, as I perceive it anyway, by creating 2 positions.
How would you address that?
A building inspector is a separate municipal officer. He has discretion to carry out, independent, I might add, of the town board. He has, or she has discretion to carry out their duties as they see fit, and they're human. They make mistakes like anybody else, but you have to live with the determinations your building inspector makes. That's all there is to it.
Can I give a thought?
Yeah.
I don't know enough about this to make any judgments whatsoever. I don't want an employee to feel like they're under attack. I think that there's reason to take a look and see where there might be tweaks, or who knows what kind of action we will take in the future. I just think we need to walk slowly into this, I really do.
Okay.
Before there's something major that's changed. If there indeed needs to be, maybe there's just some code tweaking. I don't know. I just don't know right now.
If anybody has any consideration, when I prepare the budget, I'd like to know if you guys want to consider that position part-time or something. Just let me know before we start the budget process.
If you've been part of the budget process, he did request extra help, and I think we denied that.
Sure did.
So, there's a lot on their plate, and this building department, with the staff they have, is way understaffed compared to other building departments.
I agree.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I think we need to look at a bunch of things. And we, as a board, need to take responsibility too, because we ultimately have the final say in a lot of things. So let's go through the process.
Right.
Let's learn from this process. Let's not make quick decisions without educating ourselves. And I think we'll learn a lot through this. But before we ever think about separating and creating positions, we need to have somebody on board too that's, we're willing to hire. We have no money in the budget.
Maybe we added an extra building inspector,
We could.
part-time, but maybe that's the way to go first. I don't know. So maybe he's overworked and missing stuff. I don't know. But,
Yeah, I don't want to assume that either.
What's
So
that?
is it a discussion or it's not?
listen, I'm going
No,
to
I'm
prepare a
saying
budget. You want to
you
add
asked
another
for
half a bill inspector? We can do that. I'd like to do that.
No, you originally asked if we wanted to bring it up for a discussion, so I was asking what the end result of that
No,
was.
I think a general consensus would be that that we can get him more help.
Okay.
Do you think that's pretty much?
That's what I would like to see.
Add another-
I'll sit down with him.
Ask him if he needs, find out if he needs more help
Yep.
to get stuff done.
Yep.
And I think he's allocated maybe another half of a building inspector, another part-time guy.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, if that works, we'll budget it in for next year. Okay? And if we can, if he needs help this year, let's do it this year.
Yeah.
All right? Carmine.
I'm good.
Louise.
Let's see. I have 2 old and 2 new. For old business, I'd like to discuss the resolution for defensive driving course that was voted on at the last meeting when Councilmember Isfan and I were away. For those who didn't see the last meeting, I will recap it. I asked the board to hold off on that discussion until we came back from vacation so that we could participate in the discussion before voting. Actually sent an email to the board, Greg and Becky, asking that the discussion and/or resolution regarding the defensive driving course that John Foreman suggested for town employees not be added to the agenda. Before I left for vacation, I saw the agenda packet and realized it was on for discussion and in the consent agenda. I was dissatisfied that I was denied the opportunity to participate in the discussion before voting. I asked a resident to read a statement for me, and she did. When I returned from vacation, I checked my email and saw an email response to my email from Councilmember Foreman. It was copied to not only the board, but the town clerk and the supervisor's assistant as well. It read the following. Louise, I was advised you had some questions about this defensive driver program idea. I called you and texted you. Rather than replying and directly asking me questions you may have, you chose to have one of your minions read a letter authored by you at a town board meeting on April 5th. In your typical tone, wondering if one of John Foreman's friends was financially benefiting from this. You should pick up the phone next time and you wouldn't look so foolish. My response to Councilmember Foreman in an email was the following. It's called transparency, John. I want the public to hear the responses. And in typical sarcastic female-degrading tone, you have called a citizen a minion. I will be sure to read your email to the public when I address my other concerns I have about your actions. We shall see who is a fool in the end. When a male council member degrades a female tax-paying citizen and calls her a derogatory name for simply reading a statement, this doesn't set an inviting atmosphere for the public to come and speak at meetings, nor does calling the only female council member on the board a fool and describing what she said as having typical tone. I'm a woman who speaks the truth and questions things that I feel to be questioned in public in a transparent way because I represent the people of my town. As a board member, in my opinion, I question the ethics of Councilmember Foreman's actions on June 15th, 2022. You convinced the majority of the board to switch our insurance broker for workers' compensation from a broker we have had for years without an issue from Kingston to someone you knew in Fishkill, claiming that you wanted to give it to a Fishkill resident. Yet we did not look into any other local insurance brokers. We did not save any money. Instead, you said you gave it to a Fishkill businessman at Emery and Webb. You said they were in the business, and you had a conversation with John Webb Jr., and you knew they wrote insurance and municipality. You knew they wrote insurance for municipalities. So you gave them our $83,537 policy. None of these comments are a reflection of my opinion on that particular business. I later found out through LinkedIn you failed to disclose to the board and the public that you worked as an account executive for Emery Webb. So when I heard you wanted to involve yourself in another town insurance matter, it concerned me. In my opinion, you should not involve yourself with any town insurance matters, as it appears to be a conflict of interest. You claim to be transparent, but you are the least transparent person on the board. That's old business. For new business, I cannot undo the resolution you passed through last meeting, but I am asking the board to bring up a discussion at the next meeting regarding a financial disclosure law. The purpose of a financial disclosure statement is to provide transparency about the private interests and activities of public officials and their relatives, which could, among other things, help identify potential conflicts of interest. So I'd ask that we put this topic on for the next meeting to discuss creating a financial disclosure law. Can we do that, Supervisor?
Okay. Greg?
We have something in place.
What do we have in place?
I think we used to have a financial disclosure policy back with supervisors were going.
I think it was not, it was taken off with, I think that Supervisor Vacola did not do it, did not follow through on it, so I do not believe that we have it. So I'd like to bring it up as a discussion to, if we don't have it, create it. If we have it, look into it and modify it. Is that
Yes,
okay?
ma'am.
Does Greg have to put that on?
Discussion. Greg, you listening?
For discussion for the first May meeting.
Okay.
Also for new business, I'd like to make a motion to have one meeting in June instead of two. Our second May meeting was moved to May 24th, so we can eliminate the first June meeting, but keep the second one, if that's okay with everyone.
All right, hold on a second. Everybody okay with doing that?
No.
Well,
Why do you want to cut down a meeting in June?
Because there's not
We
really
do
much.
already do it in July and August, right?
We do one meeting
One
in
in
July
July and
and
one in
August,
August.
and
Okay.
we moved the second meeting in May till the fourth week. in May.
24th.
Yeah, so it'll be a one-week turn of meeting 1 week, then next week we'll have another meeting.
Go ahead, take a vote on it.
You interested in doing it or not?
I mean, I'm indifferent. I think that we have one meeting in July, one in August, right?
Leave it
So,
as is?
That's the way I
How you see it?
feel. I don't know why we want to change.
Huh?
No, I don't, it doesn't matter.
Well, I don't really see a lot of things being put on the agenda.
You know what,
So-
we moved the May meeting because I asked to move
For
the May
vacation,
meeting.
I'm aware of that.
Because I was thinking about being out of the country. That didn't happen. I had a conversation with the supervisor, asking him, would you like to move that meeting back to the 17th as originally scheduled? And his response was, no, leave it the way it is.
Yes.
So it is the way it is. So that was my suggestion, that we only have one in June, since I
What
don't
is the
see...
difference?
And there isn't a 1 week layoff.
How many
There's the
is it?
24th,
There's
the
one.
31st.
Okay.
So that's the week
So it's not
layoff.
1 week, it's 2 weeks? How
And
many
then
weeks is it?
we have our first meeting in June,
Okay, I'm sorry.
June 7th.
So it's a 2-week difference?
2 week difference.
Just leave it.
Whatever. I hope we have a lot of things to talk about.
Okay.
I have one more
You can
thing
also
for...
reconsider at the next meeting, right?
Sure.
For old business, sorry, Becky, you can't go on vacation. I said, sorry, you can't go on vacation. I have one more old topic. This is not the first time that Councilmember Foreman has insulted me in an email attempting to degrade me. Last April, during an email exchange regarding developers speaking about a code change, the supervisor's response was very similar to mine. Yet Councilmember Foreman replied to me that my snotty mouth never disappoints. I replied back then that I found him offensive and asked if he thought he could speak like that to me because I was a woman. I advised those replies would not be tolerated by me, nor would any angry outbursts during meetings. So I am again telling Councilmember Foreman, as a woman, I find him offensive. But this time, I'm putting him on notice in public to refrain from any further degradation in emails or spoken during town board meetings towards myself or any other female constituents.
Anything else?
Nope.
John?
Okay, so the first thing I'd ask Louise to do is look up the definition of minion.
Oh, stand by, I got that for
Okay.
you. Stand by.
It is a
Louise, let him finish.
It is a non-gender specific term.
Let him finish, Louise.
Okay, gotcha. I'm ready.
Okay.
Let him finish.
Is that it?
No, it's not.
Okay, good.
So I'm going to address some of the comments that I've been hearing over the last 16 months on this town board, mostly coming from Louise. The town designates a broker of record for obtaining insurance coverage. The broker of record is not a town employee. The broker of record has no contract with the town and receives no payment from the town. Any commissions for the broker of record are paid by the insurance carrier, not the town. Before I was elected, the town board was appointing an out-of-town insurance broker to service their workers' compensation insurance coverage. I proposed, and this board approved, designating a local Town of Fishkill insurance broker as the town's broker of record for this coverage. I had no financial interest in that decision, and I received no benefit from it. I advocated designating a local insurance broker because I feel the town should deal with local merchants and service people whenever possible, and consistent with the town's financial interests. Designating a Fishkill firm as the town's broker of record was the right choice for the town, and I stand by that decision. I support local business. When the town designated its broker of record, I was publicly criticized by some people because the local insurance broker is supposedly your friend. Well, I'm friends with a lot of people, as I suspect every member of this board is as well. The mere fact that we get along with people doesn't create a conflict of interest or in any way disqualify those people from performing work for the town or simply acting as our broker of record. Recently, I assisted the town in making arrangements for a defensive driver course for town employees. The defensive driver course is offered by the broker of record who handles the town's liability insurance coverage at no charge to the town. They are even picking up lunch for every employee attending the course. The only cost comes from a state-imposed $20 fee per participant. The insurance broker, carrier, and myself gain nothing from the defensive driver course being offered to town employees. But the town will benefit greatly from it. As far as I know, this town has never offered such a class to its employees. Now again, some people are unfairly making accusations based on the defensive driver course that is being provided to the town essentially for free. I won't stoop to address those comments, except to state that I have always fully complied with the town's ethics code and that there's nothing whatsoever wrong with the defensive driver course approved by the town board. I am finished.
If I can,
Make it
Supervisor?
just quick and we're going to have...
Okay, let's see, I'll just make it as quick as I can. I just want to read the definition of what a minion is. A minion is a person who is not important and who has to do what another person of higher rank orders them to do. People who serve other people, anti-slavery, boot boy, butler, gopher, housemaid, lackey, lapdog, maid, puppet, slave, sock puppet, and valet. So which of these words are you describing the female resident who read a statement for me? Someone who has devoted the last 2 years to the comprehensive plan to better the town that we legally reside in. As far as the insurance company goes, it was your prior employer. So we didn't even look into any other local insurance companies, and there are others. I'm aware of one that was even on the Fishkill GOP who would have liked it, but I know others who probably would have liked that too. So their company is getting our $83,537 plan. That's it. Like, it's not like they're not making money off of it, and you worked for them, and you failed to tell us that you worked for them. So these are conflicts of interest, and there are other conflicts of interest that I feel you are doing, and that is why I think we need to establish the financial statement law, so that we can make sure that everybody is being ethical and doing the right thing for the people instead of for themselves.
Quick word.
Done.
I'm so confused now.
Adjourn.
No, I was going to say something. No, I was going to say Next, what day is it?
Today's the 19th, next town board meeting is Wednesday, May 3rd.
May 3rd.
Next town board meeting, May 3rd. Make a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone. Good night. Greg, take my book, please.
Yes, sir.